Hi, everybody, and welcome to Getting to the Point. Our episode today is with Mandi Brown, and Mandi is with Triangle Creative Group. She is a content strategist, and so I'm really excited to bring to you all some great tips that Mandi has on creating content and putting together those marketing calendars that we all ought to do, but sometimes maybe don't do to the best of our abilities, right? So welcome, Mandi. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, I wanted to share quickly just how we know each other because it's sort of a fun story. But Mandi and I both are graduates of St. Mary's College, and we both had the same professor that really had an influence on us, Dr. Pauley. And we took some classes together, and we were friends at school, but then, I don't know, 20 years went by, right? And we didn't stay in touch at all. And I think I found you on LinkedIn or something about a year or so ago, right? Do you have a memory of how that we connected?
I don't. I was trying to think of that earlier today. How did we reconnect? But I think it was LinkedIn. Yeah.
Yes, I think it was LinkedIn, and we had a phone call that lasted way longer than we expected, and it was really fun to get back in touch. So I've actually worked with Mandi. I hired her to do some research work for me as I was starting my online course, and she's an excellent researcher. She brought me way more amazing detail than I thought, and it was high value. So if you're interested in Mandi's help with that, you can always check in with her. But she's great at doing the strategic pieces that are behind content marketing. So Mandi, why don't you just tell us a little bit about the Triangle Creative Group and some of the key pieces that you do there, and then we'll jump into how we can help our viewers with their content marketing strategies.
Sure. So I started Triangle Creative Group about 3 years ago. And I do all forms of digital marketing, but find myself most often on YouTube, Pinterest, and in email marketing as a copywriter. And I love to dabble in design, drag and drop programs like Canva, easy stuff, because I have a creative side, but I also have this analytical side, which makes content marketing perfect for me because I love to research and kind of nerd out on the numbers, but I also have a creative flair where I like to present things in a beautiful way that I think are intriguing to people. So, perfect. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the funny tie that we both have that dates back to our college experiences is that both of our logos include triangles.
Yes,
because both,
they do. They do.
My audience knows my obsession and passion for the rhetorical triangle that Aristotle teaches. And you were in those classes with me, and the Triangle Creative Group, I think, is a nod to that as well. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
my favorite class, which I think yours was as well, was rhetorical analysis, where we learned rhetorical criticism. And I think that's really a foundation for what I'm doing today. It's really come full circle in a way I didn't expect. Where I can be analytical, but I can also be creative in putting our content out into the world. So exciting.
Absolutely. We have so much in common still. Tell viewers quickly, because this was so interesting to me when we first talked. I didn't know that Pinterest was more than meets the eye. Can you give like a brief, you told me most people don't know that Pinterest is really like a search engine, right? So can you give kind of a once over of that piece?
Sure, exactly. Pinterest is a search engine, and that's one of the reasons that I am drawn to that platform, as well as YouTube and obviously Google, because all three are run by keywords, and anything that you put out there in the world, it's a lot of effort to get your content put together, and to just put it on Instagram or on Facebook, it evaporates like within the same day because our relevance, it's so hard to stay relevant in the moment. You need to constantly be putting new things out there. But if it's keyworded and optimized successfully for SEO, those posts can live out there in internet world forever. As long as someone's searching for those keywords that you optimized your content for on Pinterest, and same with YouTube. So Pinterest is awesome for bloggers, especially, and just anybody who's creating something to do, try, or buy, which is pretty much everyone. And Pinterest is designed to get people off platform. So it's kind of opposite from YouTube. YouTube wants to keep people on the platform and watching as long as possible and getting those watch times up per video and per channel. But Pinterest is really designed to give you ideas and give you inspiration that take you away from Pinterest itself. So it's a really great place to introduce new products and introduce new ideas and blogs. So it's a cool platform.
Maybe we'll have to do a part 2 that's all Pinterest, because clearly you have a depth of knowledge there that's really valuable. Well, why don't we switch gears a little, Mandi, and you know, the typical situation that startup founders are in, or entrepreneurs, or even small businesses that are doing their own kind of content calendars before they scale their teams. I'm thinking of my own approach, and you and I have talked offline about this too, about how we know we're supposed to have something in the queue a week, 2, 3 weeks in advance. And yet for me personally, you know, I'm a very reactive creator when it comes to content. If I take a cool picture outside, I will think of a cool connection to messaging. And then sometimes I'll just stand on the side of the grocery aisle and start typing up a post, because I just have this idea right then and I need to get it down. And then I'll figure out, you know, how to position it later. So why don't you take us through the first step of what people ought to be thinking about when it comes to content creation and strategy?
Sure. So the whole thing really is about learning to be proactive instead of reactive, which is a problem I'm guilty of myself. Like you said, we talked about this, but in guiding my clients, I feel it's really important to start with first analytics and keyword research.
Okay.
Because this data is available to you for free. If you're looking at Google Analytics, if you're looking at any platform where you're trying to succeed on social media, every single one has an analytics page that we should all get familiar with and just take a look at. And they've already done the math for us. So if you hate math like me, you don't have to do the math. You just have to read the report and see what is it telling you. And you're going to want to look for things like, if you're looking at your website traffic on Google Analytics, you want to see, like, look at it for the last 30, 60 days and try to find trends. Okay. So you want to see, you know, what pages are getting visited the most often, which ones might be not getting much traffic, and try to figure out what's causing that. And if you need help because you're too close to your own content, sometimes it helps to have a friend or a colleague take a second look, or to hire somebody to take another look and try to give you inferences as to why that might be happening. But it's important to look for those trends, and then also consider a little keyword research. And that doesn't have to be something that you spend forever on. You don't have to spend a ton of money on. You can use simply an incognito window in Google and look at either Google or YouTube, and just start typing in a topic that's of interest to you that you think you might want to produce something about, and see what Google populates underneath. Because if you start to write words, we all see this as people searching. It's called predictive search, and you just check out those little ideas, and they might be giving you new topics which you hadn't considered before. And that could be a new blog article, a new YouTube video. So that's, my phone went off. It said, here are new results in search.
Well, so just to put this into context, Mandi, for myself, you know, if I were to put in keywords, things like public speaking, pitch, messaging, you know, so you're saying I should be checking out what is trending in those keywords.
Yeah, and see what's trending there. And it might give you something new that you hadn't thought about, like public speaking, or, you know, public speaking, taking that message online, because we're all kind of at home right now. It might kind of give you an idea to go, oh, maybe I should take this message virtually, and maybe it needs to be a video. So it'll give you some thought starters before you start brainstorming with a list of content ideas.
And I'm imagining a timer might be a good tool, because I bet that could be a real rabbit hole for some people.
It probably could be, yes.
Okay, so I'm hearing a couple things. Step one is get after the analytics, find out what the trends are in your own content, in your website and such. And then also go out and do that incognito window tool. Start putting in your search terms. Okay, so once you've got a list of, let's say, 5 or 10 things that you know from your own website pieces, things that are working, right? And then you've
Yes.
got this list of things that are trending. What would be step 2 when it's time to start kind of creating?
Sure. So step 2 is kind of building a plan for yourself. So you want to put all those ideas and kind of do a brain dump. Just make a list of everything that you've kind of come up with that's it's rooted in data and you thought about it strategically, and get all those content topics together, and then go back to that list maybe a couple hours later where you've got a fresh mind, and start to revise it and condense the list so that you've got a good solid 4 topics, maybe even up to 12 topics. And if you're someone who wants to be delivering content weekly, like a blog article weekly or a YouTube video weekly, all of a sudden you have a full month's worth of content. You've got 4 topics to get a month done, or if you've got 12, you've planned a whole quarter of content for your business.
That sounds pretty awesome. I'm going to end this call now so I can make my list. No, I'm excited. I'm excited. No, that's great. That's great. And I think that maybe people out there, I'm imagining some people might feel like this is overwhelming, but what I would say to that is, when I think through a blog article, for example, I would say if you're not used to writing a lot, blog posts that you publish at your website, they don't have to be long. They can be a brief list of tips or a checklist, something just to get your to stay top of mind with your key audience members. And so start slow, but start is probably the best way to go.
People love a list of tips, 3 things, 5 things, and they're done. They want to move on.
Yes, exactly. So that's perfect. Well, now that you've got the calendar set up, what would be the next piece? Now you've got to write this stuff. Is that kind of part of step 3 there?
Right. So your step 3 is creating your content and delivering it consistently. So one of those things you want your audience to do is to start getting to know you, liking you, and trusting that you're going to show up on a regular basis to whatever platform you're working on. And whether that's delivering that blog article with tips, you want to train your audience to expect to hear from you once a week, and even to hear from you on a certain day of the week. And if you've got this calendar planned out, it helps keep you on task. And then you don't have to stress about, oh, I should have been writing a blog article. What's it going to be about this week? You've already got it taken care of. So you want to try to get ahead of yourself if you can. And so one of my biggest tips is to always batch produce your content. So if you can, say, I'm going to take this week and really double down on my writing or my filming for YouTube videos, and I want to get 2 to 3 things done instead of 1 thing a week. If you do that for a good solid 2 to 3 weeks, you're going to be sitting on a stack of content, and all of a sudden you can go back to that schedule of producing just 1 thing a week because you're yourself. So, and then you want to batch schedule that wherever possible and use systems like Tailwind, I love, for Pinterest, and a lot of platforms have a self-scheduling system as well.
Perfect. Well, I think that's really smart. And I was thinking through, because this is a series getting to the point that's just gotten started, but I have a few times I've not even purposely batched a few of the interview recordings, which is so much easier in terms of my own energy. So if you like to do YouTube videos or something, and you can write a list of even 3 things you want to do a video, change your background, switch your necklace, and then run 3 of them right in a row, you can do some real maximizing of your energies. And then your brain doesn't have to switch on and off as often. So I think that for me, anyway, the hard part is making sure that I block the calendar in advance for the half day, and then, thou shalt not change that block, right?
Totally. Just sit down and do it. Don't leave until it's done. Ultimately, it's going to help you with your work-life balance. And that's what we're all struggling to get, especially now when we're stuck at home. So the days can blend together, your activities can blend together, but you can give yourself, your future self will thank you if you plan ahead.
Yep. Well, it sounds like for the content component, Mandi, I was just having this thought. It sounds like once you've got ideas that are laid out and you know your audience, there are some lists we could create. There are checklists. What do you think about storytelling? How do you find that to be, and as far as content, and how much, how little, how long? Do you have any thoughts on the story piece of that?
I love storytelling, and I think that's a huge trend in marketing in general. There's an author who, I don't know if you are familiar with him, Don Miller,
Yeah.
and he has a podcast, and I knew I'd be speaking your language just showing his book, but he's all about storytelling, and we just all gravitate to things that are told to us in a story, so it's a huge component. But in terms of like length for your content, I would say, you know, on YouTube, people are looking at videos that are not all about the details. They want an overview. They want something quick. It's 5 to 10 minutes. And that's their attention span. And for a blog article, it's, I don't have a word count, but it's tips, like 3 tips, 5 tips. Keep it short and simple.
Yeah, like white space is so important. You don't want to create, you know, hit enter, people. Everybody just enter. Hit enter a lot because it's so much kinder on the eye.
It is.
And get, you know, it almost promotes the eye to follow it downward with. If there's one line, you're like, well, what's the next one? Your brain is making these decisions so quickly, and the neuroscience is really there. It's like, that's a short line, I can read that. And then the next one's short, I can read that. If you're throwing, you know, large paragraphs at people, you know, you might want to go back
stretched.
to school, write a dissertation about it.
Right. They want enough to pick something up and move on and implement it.
Right. So I think the message there is like, go easy on yourselves, everybody. It's small pieces make a big difference. And if you skip a week of your blog, be forgiving of yourself. We all have that happen. And just get up and start again, right?
Yes,
so,
totally.
Well,
That's
Mandi,
great advice.
this has been so much fun. I want to ask you real quick how people can work with you if they are interested in your services. And then I have a fun rapid fire section at the very end. So if somebody wants to hear more about what you do, what's your usual first step with somebody?
Sure. You're welcome to come visit my website. It's trianglecreativegroup.com. And you can email me personally. It's mbrown@trianglecreativegroup.com. And I offer a free 30-minute consult for new clients. So you can just tell me what your pain points are and what you've been experiencing and what your goals are, and we can go from there.
Awesome. Well, I highly recommend Mandi to anyone who's interested in doing some great content marketing work. She's a great writer. She's a really great researcher, and she's just an all-around happy person and fun to talk to.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, here comes some rapid fire questions. The first one is, and I think we might have gotten a taste of this in the last couple minutes, but what book is on your bedside table right now?
Yes.
Can you tell us
one? That would be this one.
Yeah.
And it's backwards, probably. Marketing Made Simple by Donald Miller. Okay. And this was one I had ordered when I knew it was coming out. It's a new release. And it was on back order because Amazon had to shut down ordering for things. Sure. And I was like, I'm not going to get it in time. I had a client launching that I was hoping to see this for email marketing with.
Oh, okay.
And it actually arrived right before the end of the launch. So it was super valuable and we had great results. I highly recommend the book. He gives you a complete strategy for how to do email marketing in a sales campaign.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, question number 2. Is there a long-standing family recipe in your family that you like to repeat at holiday dinners or with your kids? That usually is a zinger for people, but I'm going to ask you.
Sure. So
yeah, go for it.
I think we love to make blueberry bread, which is something my mother-in-law made, and it's just something that our family loves. So we make that for different holiday dinners or just in the summer when the blueberries are out and fresh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like fresh blueberries, right?
Yes.
And then is there a mentor or a person from your past that has really crafted the path that you are on right now?
Yeah, I would definitely say you're going to know one of them is Dr. Pauley because he really he made a huge impression on my life and on my skills as a communicator, as a writer, as a researcher, taught me how to really think analytically and critically about things. And so he's made a huge impression on me in my early work life, and it's come full circle. Yes. And I also have one more who is my friend Karen. And I don't know, like a lot of people wouldn't know this, but after college, I worked for 5 years. Then I took 10 off to be a stay-at-home mom. I have 3 kids. And when I came back to the world of marketing, it had completely changed. And there was social media. That was not a thing when we graduated from college and when I left the marketing scene. So I had a lot to learn. But I found that I loved it. I embraced it, and I kind of self-taught my way into where I'm at today. But I do have a great friend named Karen, and she introduced me to people like Don Miller, just to kind of keep that education side going. Like, always keep reading, always keep listening to podcasts. So she's constantly keeping me ahead of myself and like still staying inspired with learning.
Kind of feeding you good content to check
Yes.
in with, and teaching
Yes.
you some of the rules of the road, the new road of social media.
Yes, totally. And to keep improving myself from where I was yesterday. So
yes, well, she has done a very good job. So good job,
Thanks.
Karen. Well, thanks, Mandy. We are out of time today, but thanks for joining us today on Getting to the Point. And we look forward to maybe another update episode another time that we could talk further.
Great.
But it's been a pleasure to have you on today. And thanks everyone for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Thanks.